The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly in all directions. Among the twinkling stars and swirling galaxies, a massive fleet of sleek, silvery ships drifted silently. These were the vessels of the Zorthians, one of the most advanced civilizations in the known universe. But now, far from their home galaxy, they found themselves in a situation they had never encountered before. Captain Zorax stood on the bridge of the flagship, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display before him. The usual confidence in his posture was gone, replaced by a tense rigidity that spoke volumes to his crew. Something was terribly wrong. "Status report," Zorax demanded, his voice a low rumble. His second-in-command, Vexlia, stepped forward. Her tentacles twitched nervously as she spoke. "Captain, the Anomaly continues to drain our energy reserves. All attempts to break free have failed. At our current rate, we have approximately 72 standard cycles before life support systems begin to fail." Zorax's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of deep distress in his species. The entire fleet, carrying millions of Zorthians, was trapped in an unknown cosmic phenomenon. Their highly advanced technology, capable of bending space-time itself, was rendered useless against this mysterious force. "Have we identified the nature of this anomaly?" Zorax asked, though he already knew the answer. Vexlia shook her head, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with a dull, worried light. "Negative, Captain. Our sensors cannot penetrate it. It's as if the laws of physics themselves are different here." The bridge fell silent. The Zorthians, for all their advanced knowledge and technology, found themselves helpless. Centuries of exploration and scientific advancement had not prepared them for this. Zorax made a decision. "Prepare the quantum beacon," he commanded. "We must send out a distress signal." The crew looked at him in shock. The Zorthians had never before asked for help from other species. Their pride and self-reliance were legendary throughout the galaxies they had explored. "But Captain," Vexlia protested, "the nearest known civilization is light years away. Even if they receive our signal, they may not have the capability to assist us." Zorax turned all four of his eyes to her. "We have no choice, Vexlia. Our people's survival depends on it. Send the signal to every corner of the universe. Perhaps there are species out there more advanced than we know." With heavy hearts, the crew prepared the quantum beacon. This device, capable of sending instantaneous messages across vast distances, was their last hope. They coded a message explaining their dire situation and pleading for assistance. With a final nod from Captain Zorax, they activated the beacon. The signal raced across the cosmos, passing countless stars and planets. It traveled through nebula and black holes, carrying the desperate plea of the Zorthians. And then, against all odds, it reached a small blue planet in an unremarkable galaxy. On Earth, in a modest radio observatory tucked away in the mountains, a young scientist named Dr. Sarah Chen was working late. She yawned, stretching her arms above her head as she prepared to call it a night. Just as she was about to shut down her equipment, a strange sound caught her attention. At first, she thought it was just static, perhaps interference from a satellite. But as she listened closer, her eyes widened. This was no ordinary signal. The patterns were too regular, too complex to be natural. With trembling hands, Sarah began to analyze the signal. Hours passed as she worked tirelessly, using every tool and technique at her disposal. As the first rays of dawn began to peek over the horizon, she sat back in her chair, her face pale with shock and excitement. It's not possible," she whispered to herself. But the evidence was right there on her screen. An alien signal, carrying a message of distress from a distant part of the universe. Sarah knew that this discovery would change everything. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge and its greatest opportunity. As she reached for her phone to alert her superiors, she paused for a moment, her hand hovering over the device. The weight of this moment wasn't lost on her. Whatever happened next would shape the future of not just Earth, but potentially the entire universe. With a deep breath, She dialed the number, ready to set in motion a chain of events that would lead humanity to the stars. The news spread like wildfire. Within hours of Dr. Sarah Chen's discovery, every major news network was broadcasting the same headline: Alien distress signal received. The world was in a frenzy. In Washington, D.C., President Olivia Thompson sat at the head of a long table in the Situation Room. Around her were the heads of various government agencies, top scientists, and military leaders. The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and fear. "Dr. Chen," the president said, her voice cutting through the chatter, "please explain to us again what exactly this signal contains." Sarah, who had been flown in on a military jet, cleared her throat nervously. "Madam President, the signal is a complex mathematical sequence. Our best codebreakers and AI systems have determined that it's a distress call from an alien civilization. They call themselves the Zorthians, and they're stranded in a part of space they can't escape from." A murmur ran through the room. General Marquez, a gruff man with a squared jaw, spoke up. "And how do we know this isn't some kind of trap? For all we know, this could be an invasion force trying to lure us out." Sarah shook her head. "The message includes detailed scientific data about their situation. Our physicists confirm that the phenomenon they describe is theoretically possible. They're truly in trouble." The room erupted into debate. Some argued for immediate action, citing humanity's moral obligation to help. Others urged caution, warning of the potential dangers of revealing Earth's location to an advanced alien species. As the argument heated up, a quiet voice spoke from the corner of the room. It was Dr. Akira Tanaka, a renowned physicist. "If I may," he said, his voice gentle but firm, "I believe we're missing the bigger picture here." All eyes turned to him as he continued. "This is humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. More than that, it's our chance to step onto the galactic stage. If we can help them, we'll not only save millions of lives, but also show that humanity is ready to be a part of something greater than ourselves." His words hung in the air, and for a moment, the room was silent. Then, slowly, heads began to nod in agreement. President Thompson leaned forward, her eyes scanning the room. "We need to make a decision. The fate of our world, and potentially an entire alien civilization, rests on what we do next. I'm opening the floor for final arguments." For the next hour, passionate speeches were made on both sides. The debate ranged from scientific possibilities to moral obligations, from potential risks to unimaginable rewards. As the discussion wound down, President Thompson stood up. The room fell silent, all eyes on her. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "Throughout our history, humanity has faced moments that defined us. Moments where we had to choose between fear and hope, between isolation and connection. This is one of those moments." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the room. "We have been given an opportunity not just to save lives, but to prove that humanity is ready for the stars. Yes, there are risks. Yes, there are unknowns. But that has never stopped us before. When we landed on the moon, when we cured diseases, when we pushed the boundaries of science, we did it because it was difficult, because it mattered." The tension in the room was palpable as she continued. "I've made my decision. We will answer the Zorthians' call. We will mount a rescue mission. We will show the universe what humanity is capable of." A cheer erupted in the room. Even those who had argued against it nodded in reluctant agreement. They all knew they were part of a historic moment. President Thompson raised her hand for silence. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Tanaka, I want you to lead a task force, gather the best minds we have. We need to figure out how to reach the Zorthians and how to help them." Sarah and Akira nodded, their eyes shining with excitement and determination. "General Hayes," the president continued, "I need you to prepare our space capabilities. Whatever resources our scientists need, they get. This is now humanity's top priority." As the meeting adjourned, there was a palpable sense of purpose in the air. Humanity had made its choice. They would reach for the stars, not in fear or aggression, but with open hands, ready to help. Outside, as news of the decision spread, people around the world looked up at the night sky with new wonder. Somewhere out there, an alien civilization waited, hoping for salvation. And against all odds, it was humanity who would answer their call. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin. The world moved with an urgency it had never known before. In every corner of the globe, scientists, engineers, and experts from all fields were working around the clock. Their goal: to prepare humanity for its first interstellar rescue mission. At the heart of this global effort was the newly formed Zorthian Rescue Initiative, ZRI, led by Dr. Sarah Chen and Dr. Akira Tanaka. Their headquarters, a sprawling complex of labs and workshops, buzzed with activity day and night. Sarah stood in the main control room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the progress of various projects. She turned to Akira, who was deep in discussion with a group of engineers. "How's the propulsion system coming along?" she asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and worry. Akira looked up, a tired but satisfied smile on his face. "We've had a breakthrough. By combining our most advanced fusion technology with principles we've gleaned from the Zorthian signal, we think we can achieve speeds we never thought possible." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Maya Rodriguez, the astronaut chosen to lead the mission. Maya was a veteran of multiple spaceflights, known for her cool head and quick thinking. "Doctors," she greeted them, "I've just come from the training facility. The crew is pushing themselves to the limit. But we need to know more about what we're going to face out there." Sarah nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We're working on it, Captain. Our best minds are still decoding parts of the Zorthian message. Every day we learn more about the anomaly they're trapped in." As they spoke, alarms suddenly blared through the complex. Red lights flashed, and scientists rushed to their stations. Sarah's heart raced as she ran to the main console. "What's happening?" Akira shouted over the noise. Sarah's fingers flew over the controls. "We're receiving a new transmission from the Zorthians." The room fell silent as she worked to decode the message. When she finally looked up, her face was pale. "The situation is worse than we thought. The anomaly is expanding. We have less time than we initially believed." The news hit everyone like a physical blow. They had been working at an incredible pace, but now it seemed even that might not be enough. Captain Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice steady and determined. "Then we adapt. We push harder. Tell me what you need, and I'll make sure you get it." Her words seemed to snap everyone back into focus. The room erupted into a flurry of activity, with new orders being shouted and plans being revised on the fly. In the following days, the pace of work intensified even further. Sleep became a luxury as everyone pushed themselves to their limits and beyond. Engineers worked tirelessly on the spacecraft, now named Hope, incorporating technologies that had existed only in theory months ago. The ship took shape in a massive hangar, its sleek form a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Meanwhile, the chosen crew underwent rigorous training. They were subjected to simulations of every possible scenario the scientists could imagine, and then some. Physical training pushed their bodies to the brink, while mental exercises honed their problem-solving skills to razor sharpness. But it wasn't just the direct participants who were preparing. All around the world, people were contributing in whatever way they could. Schools held science fairs focused on space travel, artists created works inspired by the mission, and ordinary citizens volunteered their time and skills to support the effort. As the launch date drew near, a palpable sense of anticipation filled the air. Humanity stood on the brink of its greatest adventure, united in a way it had never been before. On the eve of the launch, Sarah stood with Akira and Maya, looking at the Hope in its hangar. The ship gleamed under the lights, a beacon of humanity's dreams and determination. "Do you think we're ready?" Sarah asked, voicing the doubt that had been nagging at her. Maya placed a hand on her shoulder. "Ready or not, we have to try." Those aliens out there are counting on us. Akira nodded in agreement. We've done all we can. Now we must have faith in ourselves and in the spirit of humanity. As they stood there, gazing at the ship that would carry humanity's hopes to the stars, they felt the weight of their responsibility. But along with it came a sense of pride and excitement. Tomorrow, they would take the first step into a larger universe. The hope stood ready. The crew was prepared. And humanity held its breath, waiting for the dawn that would mark the beginning of its greatest journey. The day of the launch arrived with a mix of excitement and tension that gripped the entire world. Millions gathered around screens, their eyes fixed on the massive spacecraft, Hope, as it stood ready on the launch pad. Inside the ship, Captain Maya Rodriguez took her seat in the command chair. She looked around at her crew, a diverse group of the best and brightest Earth had to offer. There was Lai Wei, the brilliant navigator, Dr. Kira Yoshida, the xenobiologist, Alex Reeves, the engineer, and Jamal Mbiki, the communications expert. Maya's voice was steady as she spoke into her comm. Mission Control, this is Hope. We are ready for launch. The response came back clear and strong. Hope, this is Mission Control. You are go for launch. Good luck and Godspeed. The countdown began. As the numbers ticked down, Maya felt the weight of humanity's hopes and dreams on her shoulders. She thought of the Zorthians, waiting somewhere in the vast darkness of space, counting on them. 3, 2, 1. Ignition. The ship roared to life. The crew felt the immense force pushing them back into their seats as Hope broke free from Earth's gravity. Through the viewports, they watched their home planet grow smaller and smaller until it was just a blue marble in the black expanse of space. As they cleared Earth's atmosphere, Alex's voice came over the comm. Captain, initiating the new propulsion system. Now. There was a moment of tense silence. Then a strange sensation swept through the ship. The stars outside seemed to stretch, and suddenly they were moving at speeds humans had only dreamed of before. Jamal let out a whoop of joy. It works. We're actually doing it. The initial euphoria of the successful launch gave way to the reality of their long journey. Days turned into weeks as Hope traveled deeper into space than any human had ever gone before. The crew settled into a routine, each focused on their tasks. Lai Wei constantly calculated and recalculated their course, making minute adjustments to keep them on track. Kira prepared for their eventual meeting with the Zorthians, studying the data they had sent and trying to anticipate their biology and culture. But the journey was not without its challenges. A month into their mission, alarms blared through the ship. Captain, Alex called out, his fingers flying over his console. We're approaching an unexpected asteroid field. Our current path takes us right through it. Maya's training kicked in immediately. Lai, can you plot us a course around it? Lai shook his head, his face grim. Negative, Captain. It's too vast. We'd lose too much time the Zorthians don't have. Then we go through, Maya decided. Alex, divert all available power to the shields. Jamal, send a message back to Earth about our situation. Everyone, strap in. This is going to be rough. What followed was a harrowing hour as Hope navigated through the deadly field of space rocks. Maya's hands gripped the controls tightly, her eyes darting between the view screen and the sensor readings. More than once, asteroids came so close they could see the pockmarked surfaces flying past their windows. Finally, they emerged on the other side. The crew let out a collective breath they hadn't realized they'd been holding. Damage report, Maya called out. Alex ran a quick diagnostic. Minor damage to the outer hull, but the shields held. We're still in good shape, Captain. As the adrenaline of the moment faded, Kira spoke up. Captain, I've been analyzing some new data from the Zorthians. I think I've made a breakthrough in understanding their language. Maya turned to her, hope rising in her chest. What have you found? Kira's eyes were shining with excitement. It's not just a language, Captain. It's a whole new way of thinking. The way they perceive reality is fundamentally different from us. But if I'm right, this could be the key to understanding the anomaly they're trapped in. As Kira explained her findings, a new sense of purpose filled the ship. They had faced their first major challenge and come through it. Now they had a new lead that could help them save the Zorthians. Maya looked at her crew, feeling the surge of pride. Well done, everyone. We've come this far, and we're not stopping now. The Zorthians are waiting for us. Let's not keep them waiting any longer. With renewed determination, the crew of Hope continued their journey into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw at them next. After months of travel through the vastness of space, the crew of Hope finally approached their destination. The ship's sensors began to pick up strange readings, unlike anything they had encountered before. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at the main viewport, her eyes fixed on the sight before them. A massive, swirling vortex of energy filled the view, its colors shifting in ways that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Is that the anomaly? Lai Wei asked, his voice filled with awe and a hint of fear. Dr. Kira Yoshida nodded, her eyes glued to her instruments. Yes, and it's even more incredible than we imagined. The energy readings are off the charts. Maya turned to her crew. All right, people, this is what we came for. Jamal, can you detect the Zorthian fleet? Jamal Mbiki, the communications expert, frowned as he worked his console. I'm picking up faint signals, Captain. They're there, but it's like the anomaly is interfering with everything. Alex, how are our shields holding up? Maya asked. Alex Reeves, the engineer, shook his head. The closer we get, the more strain they're under. Captain, I don't think we can get too close without risking serious damage. Maya considered their options. They had come too far to turn back now, but she couldn't risk the safety of her crew. Kira, any ideas based on your research of the Zorthian language and perception? Kira's eyes lit up. Actually, yes. The Zorthians don't perceive reality in a linear way like we do. They see time and space as interconnected. If we could somehow adjust our sensors to perceive things more like they do. Do it, Maya ordered. Alex, work with Kira. See if you can modify our systems based on her insights. As Kira and Alex worked feverishly, the rest of the crew watched the anomaly grow larger in their view. Strange energies licked at the edges of their shields, causing the ship to shudder. Hours passed, filled with tense work and nervous waiting. Finally, Kira looked up, her face a mix of exhaustion and excitement. I think we've got it, Captain. We're ready to try. Maya nodded. Do it. A moment later, the view on their screens changed dramatically. The chaotic swirl of the anomaly suddenly seemed to have a pattern to it. And there, in the midst of it all, they could see the Zorthian fleet. It worked, Lai exclaimed. I can plot a course through the anomaly now. But their celebration was short-lived. Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Captain, our hull integrity is failing. Alex shouted. The anomaly is affecting us more than we thought. We can't stay here long. Maya's mind raced. They were so close, but the danger was immense. Jamal, can you establish communication with the Zorthians? Jamal's fingers flew over his console. I'm trying, Captain. But he was cut off as a strange sound filled the bridge. It wasn't a sound they heard with their ears, but rather one they felt in their minds. Kira gasped. That's them. They're communicating directly into our minds. The crew stood frozen as images and feelings flooded their consciousness. They saw the Zorthians, strange and beautiful beings of energy and thought. They felt their gratitude, their hope, and their fear. They're telling us how to save them, Kira translated, her voice filled with wonder. But it's going to require us to do something incredibly risky. Maya looked at her crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. Tell us what we need to do. Kira took a deep breath. We need to use our ship as a beacon. If we can position ourselves at a specific point in the anomaly and emit a specially modulated energy pulse, it should create a path for the Zorthians to escape. But what? Maya pressed. But it would likely destroy our ship in the process. We'd be stranded here, just like them. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. They had come to save the Zorthians, but at what cost? Maya looked out at the anomaly, at the trapped alien fleet, then back at her crew. In their eyes, she saw not fear, but resolve. They had come too far to back down now. We knew the risks when we started this mission, Maya said, her voice steady. If this is what it takes to save them, then that's what we'll do. Humanity sent us here to help, and that's exactly what we're going to do. As the crew of Hope prepared for their most daring move yet, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The true test of humanity's spirit was about to begin. The bridge of the Hope was filled with a tense energy as the crew prepared for their most daring mission yet. Captain Maya Rodriguez looked at each member of her team, seeing determination in their eyes. "All right, people," she said, her voice steady. "We've come too far to turn back now. Let's save those aliens." Alex's fingers flew over his console as he spoke. "I've modified our main energy core to emit the pulse the Zorthians described. But Captain, once we start this, there's no going back. The strain will tear the ship apart." Maya nodded grimly. "Understood. Lai, plot us a course to the coordinates the Zorthians gave us." As Lai guided the ship deeper into the anomaly, the view outside became even stranger. Colors shifted in impossible ways, and occasionally they saw glimpses of other times and places. Kira's eyes were wide as she monitored her readings. "The physics here, it's like nothing we've ever seen. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time." Jamal suddenly called out, "Captain, I'm receiving a clear transmission from the Zorthian fleet." A melodious voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. "Brave humans, we cannot express our gratitude for your sacrifice. Are you certain you wish to proceed?" Maya didn't hesitate. "We are. We came here to save you, and that's exactly what we're going to do." There was a pause. Then the Zorthian spoke again, emotion clear in their voice. "Your courage honors us. We will not forget this." As they reached the designated coordinates, the ship began to shudder violently. Warning alarms blared as the anomaly's energy battered their shields. "Hull integrity down to 60%. Alex shouted over the noise. "We need to act now." Maya took a deep breath. "Initiate the pulse on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark." Alex slammed his hand down on the control. The ship lurched as a massive burst of energy poured out from its core. The view screen lit up with a blinding light, forcing the crew to shield their eyes. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, a path began to open up in the swirling chaos of the anomaly. It was like watching a tunnel form in the fabric of space itself. "It's working," Kira exclaimed. "The Zorthian fleet is moving." Through the newly formed tunnel, they could see the alien ships beginning to move. Strange, beautiful craft of light and energy, they flowed like a river of stars towards freedom. But the victory was bittersweet. With each passing moment, the Hope groaned and shuddered, the strain of maintaining the pulse taking its toll. "Hull integrity critical," Alex warned. "We can't keep this up much longer." Maya watched as the last of the Zorthian ships passed through the tunnel. "Just a little longer," she urged her ship and her crew. Suddenly, a new alarm blared. "Captain," Lai cried out, "the anomaly is collapsing in on itself. We're going to be crushed." The tunnel was closing rapidly behind the Zorthian fleet. The Hope was trapped, with no way out. In that moment of crisis, an unexpected voice came over the comms. It was the Zorthian leader again. "Brave humans, you have saved us. Now let us return the favor. Brace yourselves." Before they could react, the Hope was bathed in a strange, warm light. The crew felt a tingling sensation throughout their bodies. "What's happening?" Jamal asked, his voice a mix of fear and wonder. Kira's eyes were glued to her readings. It's incredible. The Zorthians are using their technology to phase us out of this space-time. The view outside the ship shifted dramatically. The collapsing anomaly seemed to pass right through them, like they were ghosts. In the next moment, they found themselves in normal space, surrounded by the grateful Zorthian fleet. The bridge erupted in cheers and tears of joy. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved the Zorthians and survived. As the adrenaline of the moment faded, the crew of the Hope looked out at the alien fleet that surrounded them. They had succeeded in their mission, but they were now farther from home than any humans had ever been before. Maya smiled at her crew, feeling a mix of pride, relief, and excitement for what was to come. "Well done, everyone," she said. "Now, let's see what our new friends have to show us about the universe." As the Hope moved to dock with the Zorthian mothership, the crew knew that this was not the end of their adventure, but rather the beginning of humanity's greatest journey yet. The docking process between the Hope and the Zorthian mothership was unlike anything the human crew had ever experienced. Instead of metal clamps and airlocks, a shimmering field of energy enveloped their ship, gently pulling them into a vast, glowing chamber. As the energy field dissipated, Captain Maya Rodriguez and her crew found themselves face to face with the Zorthians for the first time. The aliens were beings of pure energy, their forms shifting and swirling in mesmerizing patterns. Despite their alien nature, the humans could sense the warmth and gratitude emanating from them. A Zorthian leader, its form slightly more defined than the others, approached them. When it spoke, the words formed directly in the humans' minds. "Welcome, brave ones," the Zorthian said. "We are the Zorthians, and we owe you a debt we can never fully repay." Maya stepped forward, her voice steady despite her awe. "We're just glad we could help. I'm Captain Maya Rodriguez, and this is my crew from the planet Earth." The Zorthian's form pulsed with what seemed like surprise. "Earth, we have heard whispers of your world, but we never imagined. You have come so far, and risked so much for us." Over the next few days, the humans and Zorthians exchanged knowledge and stories. The crew of the Hope learned that the Zorthians were an ancient race, explorers and peacekeepers of the galaxy. They shared technologies beyond humanity's wildest dreams and stories of civilizations the humans had never imagined. In return, the humans shared their own history, their art, their music, and their indomitable spirit. The Zorthians were fascinated by humanity's resilience and creativity, qualities they found both admirable and surprising in such a young species. As they prepared for the journey back to Earth, the Zorthian leader approached Maya with an offer. "We would like to accompany you to your homeworld," it said, "to express our gratitude and to formally establish a relationship between our peoples." Maya's eyes widened. "You mean first contact? Official first contact with Earth?" The Zorthian's form shimmered in what Maya had learned was their version of a nod. "Indeed, your bravery has earned humanity a place among the galactic community. We would be honored to introduce you." The journey back to Earth was much faster with Zorthian technology. As they approached their home planet, Jamal received a transmission from Earth. "Captain," he called out, his voice thick with emotion. "They've spotted us. And they're celebrating. The whole world is celebrating." As they entered Earth's atmosphere, escorted by the shimmering Zorthian ships, they saw cities lit up with welcoming lights. People filled the streets, their faces turned skyward in wonder and joy. The Hope and the Zorthian delegation landed in a specially prepared area outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. As Maya and her crew stepped out, followed by the radiant forms of the Zorthians, they were met with a deafening cheer from the gathered crowd. World leaders approached, their faces a mix of awe and pride. The Secretary General of the UN stepped forward, addressing both the human crew and the Zorthians. "On behalf of humanity, we welcome you all home," she said, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. "To our crew, We thank you for your bravery and your spirit, which represent the very best of what humanity can be. And to our Zorthian friends, we welcome you to Earth. We are honored to take our first steps into the galactic community with you by our side. As the ceremonies continued, Maya looked at her crew, seeing in their eyes the same mix of emotion she felt. They had left Earth as explorers and returned as heroes, bridging the gap between humanity and the stars. In the days that followed, the world changed rapidly. Zorthian technology helped solve many of Earth's pressing problems. Climate change was reversed, diseases were cured, and clean energy became abundant. But more than that, humanity's perspective shifted. Borders seemed less important when viewed from a galactic scale. Old conflicts faded as people united in their new identity as citizens of the galaxy. As Maya watched the sun set on this new era, standing beside her crew and their Zorthian friends, she couldn't help but smile. Humanity had been called to save a stranded alien fleet, but in doing so, they had found their place in the universe. The greatest adventure in human history wasn't ending, it was just beginning.